Welcome to another edition of In the Winner's Circle. Renee Cairns along with Jennifer Morrison. This and every edition brought to you by the HPBA of Ontario. Lots of material to cover, so let's get at her. What happened last weekend that caught your eye? Not necessarily last weekend, but in racing.
Well, obviously in Ontario horse racing, we have to cheer for how well Fort Erie did with the Prince of Wales. They said a crowd of about 10,000 people. The betting was way up on the day. It was, they experimented with the 4:15 post time for Twilight Tuesday. Race went off at 7:45. Everybody in horse racing North America was watching the Prince of Wales.
Yep.
Great race, uncaptured, reeling in River 7 in the stretch. Uncaptured, our horse of the year, 96 buyer figure, redeeming himself. And, it was an exciting race and a great day for the Fort.
Yep.
Kevin Attard had a great week. Ran 8 horses and won 4.
Like Ian Black the week before.
Just like Ian Black. I mean, hot stables. I know some people don't really believe in that, but I tell you, trainers win in bunches. And he was winning with horses like Malibu Skyline, Irma Lee, Joyful Cheers, all for different owners. In fact, I was looking up since July 10th, Kevin has won 7 races in his last 19 starters. And he had 6 other seconds and thirds. So watch his horses this weekend.
Okay, what else you got?
Well, who's the smarty pants? Who is the Smarty Pants? Well, it's Nikki Smarty Pants. Ben Hutzel celebrated a stakes win with Nikki Smarty Pants, Smarty Jones filly that he bought, and it was in the Royal North last weekend, Grade 3, and it was an exciting win because she hadn't raced on the turf before. She was well trained for the event, pointed to it by Bob Tiller, and she came through in a nice little prospect for Mr. Hutzel.
Went gate to wire. So
right.
That was then. What's coming up on the weekend? 4 stake races, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. We'll begin with Saturday's action. We've got the Nandy and the Seagram, and from those two, we will begin with the Nandy, which will go as race number 6, part of a 10-race program. I think a pretty nice field has been assembled here. We've got 9 going postward, and the 9 to 5 choice is on Rainbow Bridge, I think by virtue of that big 71 buyer taking the Shady Well last time out.
Yeah, I mean, she deserves to be the favorite. This could be, quite a good filly. A 71 buyer for an Ontario sire 2-year-old filly at this time of year is quite good. She had that debut race where she got left and closed like a train through the stretch. Everybody was on her. She was 20-1 in the morning line, went off at 5-1, won the Shady Well, looked good doing it. And the horse behind her, Paladin Bay, ran well in that event.
I like her. That's my pick in the race.
Yeah, and she's still a maiden, so she doesn't really actually know what it's like to pass and win. She still has to pass on Rainbow Bridge, but she's a long striding filly. Jerry Olgan, he won the stake race on Wednesday night, so he's doing well. I like the way Leah's Miracle won her maiden. Now, she had the rail in that debut race. She has the rail again, but, she was quite far back of the field, worked her way around, angled out, and rallied. So I think she's a legitimate horse for Steve Asmussen. And another long shot, I noticed she's long odds, Making It Happen. Hasn't raced since her big debut win in May, but I know they're quite high on this Old Forester filly.
Old Forester, he was large and in charge in his first crop of 2-year-olds and still sending out the winners, still very much sending out the winners. Yeah. So race number 6 on Saturday's program, the Nandy, $125,000 on the line, blinkers on Lexi Lou, who comes from post 8, and then we completely changed things up with the Grade 3 Seagram. This is for the older boys going a mile and a 16th. Part of that older horse series, the Eclipse, the Dominion Day, the winner of the Dominion Day delegation who won for fun is not here because he's going to be at Del Mar in a couple of weeks.
That's right, and I know a lot of the horses in here, the interests are like, phew, thank goodness that horse isn't in here. But now we're left with the same group of guys, but no real, legitimate speed horse.
Yeah.
So now you're looking at the 2 horses that have won past editions of the Seagram, Alpha Better and James Street. James Street likes to come from, quite well off the pace. Alpha Better has the tactical speed. I think it's one of these 2 that's going to win this race. I think Alpha Better, both of them actually run very solid 90, high 90 buyer figures. Alpha Better coming in with a bullet 47, so that'll sharpen up his speed. So I think he'll be right up there with the pace and James Street coming at him. And that's who I think we're going to see in the Seagram.
I think it's going to be a good race. Coming in with some confidence off of 3 consecutive victories, including a win against Restricted Company, is Ultimate Destiny. Now, he loses his rider. De Silva is going to go with Patriotic and Proud for Marcassi. So Cable picks up the mount on Ultimate Destiny for owner-trainer Alec Fair.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously a vastly improved horse right now. He's on a roll. He's leaving the Ontario Sired ranks and meeting much, much tougher. But every time I say that I didn't like him, he's won 3 times in a row. So, I mean, I don't think he can win this race, but, he's doing well and maybe he can get a piece.
You never know. I think Awesome Overture could make his presence felt in the early going in the race too, if they don't go too fast.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's much speed, so he could have the lead if he wanted to, I think.
Okay, on Sunday we have 10 races on tap there as well, including 2 stake races, and one of them is the Etobicoke Handicap. It is an overnight stake, which means that if it didn't fill, it didn't go. And it's more of a condition handicap, not the true handicaps that we used to have where the race secretary put the weight on depending, weights them depending on their performances. But I remember way back when Summer Mood won this race. That was a Kinghaven horse against one that I galloped for Jean-Louis Levesque, and that was Bougrin on a sloppy track. I just got beat a whisker, and it was a thriller, and then you walked the...
Yeah, I was a personal hot walker for Summer Mood. Her name was actually Charlotte. And every time she ran, I was right there, and she loved the slop, so... While you were crying in your beer, I was like...
Yeah, she wouldn't have paid much, but I'm sure you would have cashed on her as well.
Yep.
So the 2013 renewal of this includes a horse that I know you quite like, and that is Strike the Moon, coming in for Mike Trombetta, who's had a fair amount of success on this circuit.
Yeah, I mean, he's 0 for 3 this year at Woodbine.
But in the past, he's done extremely well.
That's right, and I think he's found a nice, cozy spot. You have to look closely at Strike the Moon. Last year, she only won 1 race last year, but she was in some really tough spots, and one of the races she was in was the Thoroughbred Club of America Stakes at Keelan, Grade 2. A good second to Groupie Doll. She met that one back on the dirt in California in the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint and didn't do much. So this year, she's regrouped, but then her first start of the year, she practically falls on her face, so you have to throw that race out. Then she goes from Pimlico to Presque Isle, runs okay in a pretty quick race there, and the winners come back to score again. And then last time she was in a 1 mile race and made a big move and sort of stalled. So I think she's all set to put in a big, powerful run here. I'm looking at her running like a high 80, low 90 buyer figure.
That's what it's going to take, you figure?
I think that's what it's going to take, and I say Strike the Moon is going to reel in the speed, which I think will be Dance to the Moon, who's coming back really quickly, actually.
Yeah.
And You Can't Catch Me. But I know you like...
I like You Can't Catch Me. I love Horses by the Daddy. I think he's a great stallion. I think he's an underrated Florida stallion. This filly has raced 9 times. She's got 3 wins, a couple of seconds. She loves to be close. Justin Stein is going to be riding her for the first time. I'd like to think he got on her in the morning, although I don't think that's really going to matter. But as far as Sammy D, a little bit quiet, hasn't run a whole lot of horses, but the percentage is there. He is always a high percentage conditioner, and especially when a horse is coming off the shelf, coming off of a long layoff, acting naughty, big closer in the field. I think she deserves honorable mention as well because she's already won 2 stakes this year, and Donnie McRae knows it every time she wins. Overachiever is what I say to him when I see him in the morning. Yep. Overachiever for acting naughty, no doubt about it. Yeah,
no, she's a wonderful Ontario bred who didn't cost a lot of money. She'll have to hurry going 6 furlongs.
Yeah,
with
that's
not
the
a lot
only
of speed.
part about it that I find maybe a little tricky.
Yeah, but I think You Can't Catch Me coming up. She runs well fresh. She hasn't run this year, but obviously they've been pointing her to this race. She almost won a Grade 3 before the end of last year, so she's the one to catch, and Strike the Moon will be running at her.
We will be wrapping up the Canadian Triple Tiara on Sunday afternoon with the 1.25 mile Wonderwear Stakes. $250,000 on the line, scale weight 121 pounds. One of the headliners, no doubt about it, will be the Woodbine Oaks winner, and that is Nipissing. She didn't fare all that well in the Queen's Plate, but I figured she would be pointing to this race, and actually I caught up with Rachel Halden, her conditioner. She trains her for the breeder owner Chiefswood Stables, and she gave me a little bit of insight as to what was up with Nipissing, what happened in the Plate, and whether they were going here or maybe they had some other options.
Nipissing, well, she won the Oaks, which obviously was very exciting for us all, and she came out of that race really well. That we talked about it before of giving her a shot in the Plate, which is what we did. It was nice that there was a month in between the races. She came out of the Oaks really well. She's always looks like she's looking for more ground, so we were felt good about the 1.25 miles, and it was something we wanted to give her a chance to. Unfortunately, it was a puzzling race for us because she didn't run a race. You can be beat, finish 4th or 5th and then run the race, but I mean she just didn't run a race that day, and unfortunately we don't even have an answer either, which is always kind of niggling in the back of your head too. But she's trained back great. We worked on the turf because we started thinking about the Bison City. She worked very well. I've always been looking for an opportunity to get her on the turf somewhere because I think with her stride her pedigree and everything, that she'll really like it. And the long stretch also here at Woodbine is something that I think she'll benefit from. So the Wonder Wear is where we're kind of aiming for at the moment, which entries are taken today. We feel that unfortunately the forecast isn't great. We got a lot of rain last night, and there's more in the forecast. So we might also enter in the Eternal Search, just to have a backup plan in case it was a soft turf. We wouldn't really want to be trying that for her first try on the turf. So that's where we are at the moment, and she seems to be doing great. She looks great, and we're put her in the entries today.
So really, I think for Nipissing, it's all going to depend on how the surface is on Sunday. But I know we've had a lot of rain this week. Last night or a couple of nights ago, it just poured all night. But I think there's going to be great drying weather getting towards that race as well. So I'm going to tend to think that they're going to stick in the Wonder Wear.
Yeah, and it would be great to see her in the Wonder Wear and compete against Spring in the Air and Smarty Fly. These are the better 3-year-old fillies. Nipissing winning the Oaks. Look, throw out any horse that ran in the Queen's Plate, okay? I mean, that day, as we know, monsoon rains,
Yep.
The track changed dramatically, inside speed. Any horse that was trying to come from out of it or
Yeah,
rally
really
wide,
no shot.
No shot. We've already seen River 7 come out, and, he was running on dirt at 40 but he finished second. So, look, Nipissing is bred for the turf. The Negons love it. She loves going long. She's back with her own kind here. She's obviously the headline horse. But,
Yes.
you can't discount Spring in the Air, who hasn't been on the grass since last year when she was a huge second in the Natalma Stakes. And she's been, she was fourth in the Queen's Plate. She actually ran very well. I mean, considering she came from a little bit off the pace. Fourth in the Plate. I mean, tremendous race. Second in the Oaks. So Spring in the Air and Nipissing are going to do their battle. And I think Smarty Fly, I keep following her along. Now, she hasn't won any of these races, but, she was fourth in the Oaks.
I think she could be sitting on something big, too,
Oh,
though.
yeah. Now, she's running once on the grass, but that was at Keeneland, and the race didn't really go her way. Her mother loved going long on the turf, so she's a horse to perhaps include in the exotics there. But hopefully Nipissing will go, and we'll have a dried-out turf course with, not firm. It won't be rock hard.
No,
but
I think
it'll
there'll be a nice little cut to it.
Yeah.
What about Carmelita? Quick thoughts on Carmelita?
Well, lightly raised horse that just got up to win her maiden. I think she's a little short on seasoning. I'd be leaning towards a horse more like Cersei, who just won big in the Damsel Stakes for Kevin Attard. I mean, she just drew off like We the People there. I don't know how good she is. She's out of a Bold Executive mare, so a 1.25 miles might not be, her favorite thing. But
you got the Giants Causeway on top. That could give her a license to want to go a little longer.
That's right. But this race, you really want to look for a horse that's got quite a bit of foundation and experience.
Nipissing could win, but she could also maybe not quite like the 1.25 miles or the turf. Who knows? And Spring in the Air is always going to take money because the Cassie horses.
Yeah, and
always take money.
And the John Oxley Cassie team, starting to get on a roll now. So watch out for Spring in the Air.
Nipissing's going to be my pick. I'm going to stick with Nipissing, the daughter of Negon. So that's it for the stake races. Boy, there's going to be a lot to look forward to this weekend.
Monday. We still have
the Eternal
Search.
3-year-old fillies going 1 mile and the 16th on the poly track. So we'll know they're going to enter Friday for Monday.
That's right.
And I still tend to think Nipissing's going to stay in the Wonder Wear if the course is in good shape, and I tend to think that it will be. Two things that you don't know about Jennifer. We always talk about things that you don't know about other people. What about us? Maybe you're curious. She was actually a show jumper. She tells me that, and I've actually seen a picture, but I still don't believe it.
Going over a big fence.
Yeah.
Yes. How do you think I broke my nose? Went right through the fence without the horse.
Nice. And you walked Hots a long time for King Haven. Your favorite horse, and one that I knew pretty much all about, was Bajila.
I know. I was very surprised. Well, the first horse that I fell in love with was back in the 80s sometime. Dave Kepchinski owned this gray horse by Quadrangle, bred by Winfield's Farm. He was a reasonably good horse. And then King Haven Farms ended up buying him, and he won the Dominion Day. But I used to, get the autograph of the owner, and I wanted to know everything about the horse. I'd take pictures of him. I listened to his races on the radio when I was up camping with my family. So Bajila was one of my favorites.
And as far as my favorite horse, by far, hands down, Steinlen.
Interesting pick.
I love
Turf
that
Miler.
horse. Yeah, I love that horse. I remember seeing a shot of him, of a field leaving the gate, and he was in it. Everybody else just kind of came out. He dropped about a foot and launched himself out of the gate. Santos used to ride him. He always had that braid underneath his brow band.
Ah, yes.
And then there would be the parting of the seas, and here he would...
Yeah, that's an interesting favorite horse.
Yeah.
We both have interesting favorite horses.
And won a race for Lester Piggott when I was an amateur jockey over at Newmarket. It was his wife Susan that trained it. Lester gave me my instructions, told me that Shining Jewel would win, and don't hit him. And I didn't hit him, and he did win.
Wow, that's a memory.
That is definitely a memory, and hopefully we've given you some memories of stuff, starfruit, guava, and a little bit of handicapping information, because there's lots going on the weekend. So good luck with your handicapping, and hope you find yourself in the winner's circle.